What's up, my friend? Welcome back to another video, and today we're taking a look at a quick comparison between the industry brass core library from Cinesamples and the original Cinebrass core from Cinesamples as well. I've got a couple of requests for this one because both libraries are brass libraries recorded by Cinesamples, but they're about 10 years apart, and so it's interesting to kind of compare and see what innovations have been done since Cinebrass core. Is the new library actually automatically better, or is it maybe just a repackaged sort of thing? That's kind of a harsh thing to say, but that's what we're here to find out, right? And you can make your own decision at the very end. I think personally having different colors of libraries, if you can afford them, is always a good idea, because if you have given enough hard drive space, you have the option to choose between different sound palettes depending on what your project calls for, or what your director, the person you're working for, needs, the clients, right? So it's always nice to have these different palettes on hand. And so we're going to do a quick comparison and see the differences and the similarities between these libraries, and then you can make, again, your own decision at the very end. And before we actually dive into the patches themselves, in case you don't have my sample library buyer's guide yet, I would love to give it to you absolutely free. It contains all my personal recommendations of all the sample libraries I use on a regular basis. So it's like strings, winds, brass, and percussion, piano libraries, jazz, ethnic libraries, all that great stuff. I've included the prices and the utilities as well, so you know exactly what you're getting when you look at my recommendations, and hopefully that kind of helps you out on your sample library buying journey. So without further ado, let me quickly dive on in here. So Industry Brass Core is essentially a stripped down version of Industry Brass from Musio, which is Cinesamples' subscription service. And so it's nice to have that library, which is kind of a brand new library, ported over to the Contact platform, where a lot of people are still using that platform. So for me, I haven't used Musio very much yet, but when it comes to Contact, I definitely was interested in having the library on this platform. So here it is with the trumpets, horns, trombones, and tuba, the main four sections in the orchestra. But if we take a look at Cinebrass Core, you can see that there are a ton more patches, right? Now, you can forget the true legato patches for a bunch of these, because these are essentially separated out from the articulations patches. So the trumpet ensemble articulations already includes the true legato patch, which is exactly the same legato as in the articulations patch. So you can take that away for the trumpets, the horns, the trombone as well. But in general, there are quite a few more options here. There's two horns, there's like six horns, there's a horn solo, there's full ensembles, there's low brass pads, all this stuff that you don't get at Industry Brass Core. So that's a big difference there. You will get naturally more material in Cinebrass Core, and there's also Cinebrass Pro, which has even more stuff, a lot more solo instruments and more dynamic range. And at the time of this recording, they're also working on an Industry Brass Pro as well. So we'll see what comes there. But anyway, let me just dive into the trumpets, and I'll compare just these patches with these patches in Cinebrass as well. So trumpets first. Here are the trumpets as what they sound like out of the box for Industry Brass. All right. And that's a quick look at the trumpets themselves from Industry Brass. And so what you get here is a lot of articulations. You get the core ones with longs and shorts, but you also get a bunch of the longer ones too. With the shorter ones too, and some effects and some clusters and stuff. And you get those doits, you get those falls, you get all that stuff that you don't get in Cinebrass. You do get more effects in things like Cinebrass Pro, but in terms of the actual basic articulations, you get those and more with Industry Brass core here. So what you lack in different section sizes and different playing options, you do get in the actual articulations. So that being said, let me go over to the articulations patch here in Cinebrass. And this is equipped with basically 3 types of shorts. So more of a longer short like a braccato, then you get staccato, and then you get staccatissimo, so really short. And then you also get the legato baked into it as well. You can press the pedal to activate that. So let me start with the legato and let me show you a bit of what this patch sounds like. And there we go. So the main difference here, well, first of all, you hear the sound. It's a lot more resonant in the Sony scoring stage. It really has that cinematic Hollywood sound. Whereas when you hear Industry Brass, to me, it sounds a little bit more controlled. It also sounds a bit more modern as well. There's a bit of a cleaner, tighter, modern sound to it. And it's, overall, it has a bit more shine in a way, a bit more playability as well. I think it's just the scripting, the technology that has evolved over time, right? It makes sense that they kind of, they adapted the workflow a little bit with their scripting. So, but aside from that, the way the library works is a little bit different as well. Of course, you can actually remap this the way you want different velocities to activate the different articulations, but generally the shorter ones will be activated when you play lightly. So you can see the short 8s, those activate when I play lighter. The quarter note shorts, they call it, are a little higher, and then the longest short notes, the marcatos, are the highest velocities there. And then for pedal, that activates the legato as well. But you also notice that the dynamic range doesn't go quite as high as well compared to Industry Brass. So that's a bit of a difference as well. Okay, let's move on to the French horns. Here are the horns in Industry Brass Core. I'm not going to go through the articulations a whole bunch this time. Let's just hear the legato and then compare with Cinebrass. So yeah, when you A/B it like that, the industry brass core library is definitely punchier, right? A smaller sound for sure. Of course, you can add a bit more to it. Like this is the dry mix, so if I put in the wet mix, you can actually hear this. Let me see. So I'm gonna turn up the wet. Let's actually bring down the dry a little bit more. Let's hear how wet this guy is here. Yeah, definitely a little more resonance there. Let's go back to Cinebrass for a second. Yeah, but in Cinebrass, there's that extra bit of tail you can really hear at the very end of that sample. It rings out so beautifully. So yeah, I just really like it. Different sounds, different applications, but overall, you can definitely hear how they have similarities as well. But let's hear some of the trombone legato here as well. All right, and then let's move over to Cinebrass here. Yeah, so I think I prefer the legato in industry brass for the trombones here, but I do prefer the shorts from Cinebrass. They're a little bit more meaty. They feel a bit more consistent, and I just really like how they resonate there as well in the hall. So let's move on to the tuba finally and hear what this sounds like. Okay, so this is not a direct comparison. It might not be quite fair because Cinebrass Core doesn't actually have a solo tuba. It's a tuba plus a bass trombone that has articulation patches or an articulations patch, but it does not have legato recorded for that. So to actually hear that properly, we would need to hear the Cinebrass Pro tuba, and that has the articulations plus the legato. So now let's bring that in and let's hear maybe the shorts first really quickly, and then we'll go through the legato. There we go. So So yeah, Cinebrass has that really full, rich sound that I really do like, and Industry Brass definitely is recorded in a smaller room slightly, I think, but it has a nice sound as well. It's just different, right? A different sound signature, a little more controlled, a little cleaner. Whereas Cinebrass, really you can hear the clarity in the Sony scoring stage, and it's really nice. So if I had to ultimately choose between one or the other, I still think I prefer Cinebrass, the entire Cinebrass lineup, because it captures that magical sound from the Sony stage that you don't necessarily get as much of in the Newman scoring stage. But again, if you want that more modern blockbuster sort of sound, then you can certainly look into Industry Brass Core as well, because not only do the mic mixes and the overall sound lend themselves better to that sort of situation, but they also have the articulations to match as well. So you're not really lacking in that department. Whereas for Cinebrass, it's a little bit more spread out all over the place. So you kind of need both Core and Pro to make up the fuller, more complete brass library. But if you want something a bit more organized, with a bit more playability, then Industry Brass might suit your bill there. So just a couple things to think about, but hopefully this comparison gave you a little bit of clarity on what they sound like side by side. And let me know if you have any questions about that. Happy to jump in. And again, if you want to download my sample library buyer's guide absolutely free, I would love to give that to you as a gift for watching this video. Just click the first link in the box below and you'll get instant access to all my personal recommendations for all the libraries I use in my projects. And yeah, I've categorized it. I've given you the prices, all the utilities, why I prefer those libraries over others, things like that. And I just want to give it to you again, totally free. So enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video and take care. Bye-bye.